Here are the top 7 foods and beverages that contain the most microplastics and what to eat or drink instead. I'm Eric Martins, chemical engineer and commercial brewer, and I've dug into some of the latest research on microplastics in food, and a couple things on this list really surprised me. Number 7 is sea salt. Because it's often harvested from polluted oceans, sea salt is a surprising microplastic carrier. Instead, you can use something like mined rock salt or pink Himalayan salt that won't contain microplastics. And avoid using salts labeled as refined sea salt unless the brand specifies filtration and purity testing. Number 6 is beer. In a recent study, almost every beer they tested contained some level of microplastic. Now, this is likely due to either contamination in the water source being used to produce that beer, or in some cases could be from the plastic lining that's on the inside of cans. If you want to avoid microplastics in beer, the best way to do it is to support your local brewery, especially if they're using reverse osmosis or RO filtration on their water system like we do. Number 5 is shellfish. Things like shrimp, oysters, and clams are bottom feeders or filtered feeders in the ocean. And so if that ocean has been contaminated with plastic, like many of ours are now, then those shellfish will contain microplastics. To prevent this, you can reduce the amount of shellfish that you eat or try to find fish from clean water sources. Number 4 is rice. Most store-bought rice contains microplastics due to contamination during the harvesting, processing, and packaging. To avoid or minimize microplastics in your rice, you can find bulk and/or organic options at the store, and also remember to always rinse your rice before cooking, as that can reduce the amount of microplastics by as much as 40%. Number 3 is bottled water. Microplastics in the bottle actually leach into the water, especially if that bottle's been sitting for a long time or exposed to heat. If you can put your own filtered water in a stainless or glass container, then that's best. And if not, avoid drinking bottled water that has been sitting out in the heat or sitting on the shelf for a long time. Number 2 is apples and carrots. This one's a little surprising, but in this case, the microplastics were actually found inside the produce. And this is likely due to contamination of the soil and water that were used to grow the apples and carrots. It's always good to wash and peel your produce, and when you can, buy from local and organic sources that have transparent growing processes. And the number 1 biggest contributor to microplastics in the food and beverage space right now is tea, specifically tea that comes in plastic or nylon tea bags. As much as 11 billion particles of microplastics were found in these kinds of tea bags when they were prepared. Instead, opt for loose leaf tea and use an infuser that has materials like stainless steel and glass, or you can find some brands that don't use plastic tea bags.